not streaming.
Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Salut tout le monde. Hey everybody, I just brought in Kay. We're going to go back to our Discord there. Everything's looking good. Andrew's been asking me to fix that intro because he's like, sometimes it makes a weird noise. And I said, I got it taken care of, Chief. I clearly did not have it taken care of. Hey, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. Les Canadiens de Montréal, a big 4-2 win from the Montreal Canadiens. I have Kay here as my host right over here. So thank you so much for joining us. Kay, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
The Habs won. It's Saturday night, and I have beer in the fridge. I'm not going to drink it, but I have beer in the fridge. That's my indication of how when things are going good. So and also, I snuck out to the forest in the last few days, and I got some hunting in and some fishing in. So I'm doing great. I'm loving
I know
life.
that always leaves you feeling great.
Oh
I think
yeah.
That's good.
Oh yeah. Me and Carey Price had that like together is that we'd always rather be hunting and fishing. Okay, so a big 4-2 win tonight, and thank you everybody that's in the chat. We genuinely appreciate your support. You know the spiel I'm about to give you, like subscribe, tell all your friends, but it really is important for us because we're a grassroots Canadian company, and we need as much support as you can give us. In the meantime, 5-2. Sorry, I had written 4-2 in my recap, and thank God for Yoel Armia with the 5-2. Hey, it was a big night. Not just Armia. We saw Newhook get his other goal. Kirby Dach get his first goal. A certain guy that Kay might enjoy watching play hockey scored his first goal, and I'm not gonna ruin it. I'm not gonna ruin it and say which center it was.
Spoiler.
Yeah. So all in all, fantastic game. I thought Lane Hudson was great. What was your biggest takeaway from all this, Kay, from the game tonight?
My biggest takeaway was thank God they won. I think it would have really. First of all, I'm glad they won with Arbor in because otherwise we would have so much more discourse again.
Useless discourse. Useless discourse. Yeah.
I think we'll have discourse again because they won, but it'll be discourse. But I'm just glad they won. I think this time it was actually a full effort, and except for those 3 minutes, but it was a full effort. And I was really hoping to see that. So I feel good about this win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just noticing I left a little black bar here. Andrew was, these are the things we have to fix, buddy. And I was like, no problem. No problem, buddy. I'm just going to take a nap before the game. So I'm sorry about this little black bar here. Listen, we've talked about frustration. We've talked about the rebuild. We've talked about just everything that's going on right now with the Montreal Canadiens. They're kind of at that intersection where they're selling hope doesn't necessarily work anymore to a certain extent. What did you think of Martin St. Louis' approach? Because it felt like things were getting pretty sour between the fans, and not in the sense that they were giving up, but you know there's a point of diminishing return on selling hope. So how did you think Martin St. Louis approached this whole situation coming into tonight's game?
Mark, it seems like I'm very low on the volume, so why don't you talk and I'll try to see if I
okay.
can.
Yeah, I can. I thought I pumped it all the way up. Let me see if I can fix that again. Let's go.
Sure.
How about try now? Okay. 1 2 1 2.
Hello, hi everybody.
She should be. Yeah, I'm
How's
getting
it looking?
perfect.
1 2.
I'm getting perfect results for Kay there. The chat's gonna tell us. So my question is, until
just let us know.
Once the chat picks it up, going into this, I thought it was a pretty dangerous situation for the Montreal Canadiens because there comes a point where you just can't continuously say like it's gonna come, and there was a lack of effort to a certain extent. I'm not trying to say guys like Nick Suzuki wasn't trying or Jake Evans wasn't trying, but you really felt that, especially against the Rangers, Martin St. Louis admitted it, they were deflated after that 4-2 goal. So I really liked the effort tonight, and honestly, now I have echo. You're in, but I have echo. So I'm gonna let you talk. What did you think about Martin St. Louis' approach to the game today?
I think this is kind of one of the first times that we're seeing Marty show, a bit of like a stricter hand with this team.
Mm-hmm.
I think he understands that things are that we expect a little bit more, and I think they expect a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I like the accountability. I know some people had, there's discourse again about it, but I like the accountability, and I liked that they actually seem to try. The Rangers, they're hockey players. I'm sure they're always trying, but there's try and there's try. So yeah, that's kind of my thought on it. Sorry, I'm just checking.
Well, no, because now we fixed you, which is great, because people want to hear you, but I have a bad echo, so I'm going to actually have to try to fix that right now. If I back up, hopefully I'll have a little less echo. The chat's going to let me know. Let's talk about your favorite player there. I don't know if he's your favorite, but you like every single Montreal Canadiens player, and good on you for that.
He's up there.
And speak up a little bit, but Kay, what did you think of the effort of a certain center that, I guess he was the second line center tonight? I don't know, a third line, second line, but Jake Evans, man, whenever the Habs need a boost, Jake Evans is there, isn't he?
I'd say that it's contract year, Jake Evans, because every player is just suddenly turning it up. But I genuinely think that this is just the player he is. I know, Mark, you've talked about it a lot about how he's just a very well-rounded player.
Mm-hmm.
But I always credit Nick for stepping up when things need a boost.
Yeah.
But I do think that right now it's Jake kind of helping the team along. And it helps that the entire line is a good line. But my favorite, Jake Evans, I'm just so glad to see that goal. It's just, he's earned this one.
And especially for the Montreal Canadiens, we always looked at Nick Suzuki, and I feel like there was just an unreasonable level of criticism sent towards Nick Suzuki at the start of the year. I know the underlying numbers are bad, and that's usually what I hit on, but this is a guy he's above a point per game now. There's a certain limit of what Nick Suzuki can do to drag this team here. So you need guys like Jake Evans and historically, we go back last year, even the year before that, I felt when the Habs were falling into that little tunnel of we don't care because it's a rebuild. And again, I'm not saying this is because of Nick Suzuki, but you need other guys, and Jake Evans has always been that other guy. So yeah, absolutely. I think I would have
just cutting in for a second. I remember one distinct game where Jake Evans was the second highest time on ice. I really distinctly remember this moment. And I was like, you know what? I can't even argue with it because out of everybody, he'd earned. Of course, Nick was up there because Marty puts him out there for everything. But it was just a really funny. You earned this moment.
It's one of the funniest things that I ever saw. And listen, Joël Bouchard, that's obviously was Jake's first professional head coach, and I didn't always agree with it. Joël Bouchard's a lot like me. He talks a lot. Maybe there's not so much value coming out of it, so I could recognize that pretty quickly. One of the things he did at the end of the summer was he got Jake Evans a shooter tutor. So for those that didn't spend their summers at Canadian Tire, that's the plastic goalie you put up, or that's just kind of like this. And he said, I want to see this broken by the time you come back to me. It wasn't it wasn't, you said it was homework, but it was really a message like, shoot the damn puck, Jake. So we're seeing a little bit more of that. And I feel like every single one of Jake's goals are it's penalty kill, overtime, it's always very dramatic goals, no?
Yeah. It's, again, I think it's, something that I actually think about a lot, that I've seen Twitter conversations about this, is there such thing as clutch? And I think that's a really interesting question. And I don't know if I'd call Jake Evans clutch, but he's one of the players where I'm I think it's about performing under pressure. Yeah. Maybe is the better phrase for it. And I think we see that where he's just kind of. It's also funny because you can see that other players aren't expecting it. On the team they expect it, but on the other team they don't. And
out of nowhere, Jake Evans.
Just got Jake Evans.
You just got Jake Evans pretty hard. Yeah, exactly. I love it. So and thank you everyone. Hi, Dina just joined us in the chat, and thank you everyone in the chat. We really appreciate the support. Sébastien Carrière just joined. John Zion is there. Robert Rice, my old coworker at Eisen the Price. How's it going, buddy? if you want to start writing again, let me know, Robert. I got a spot for you always. And we have Marc is in here, the other Marc, the better Marc, not me. Rémélie, Ian, quelque chose. Andrew is moderating, and we have Doug is here. MFM, quelque chose. I really like quelque chose. And speaking of which, for those of you who
what are those? Sorry.
Quelque chose is the name of the guy. Now the reason I like it is because it's very Québécois in its application. Now I don't know if anyone saw, but French Quebec got its own language designation. So le français du Québec, which is fantastic. I love it. And tonight we saw a nice taste of that. I think it was Bolduc was chasing down Savard. And you hear Savard, which is saying like, how are you? And Savard nodded. And then Savard kind of waited behind the net. And I'm pretty sure it was Bolduc, but he was like, ah ouais, tabarnak. So what that means is, come on, F word, let's go. And the mic picked it up, and it was just a perfect like French Canadian situation. Most people would not have got that, but that I missed it too. But that's when I'm so happy to know they say the exact same stuff as I do when they're on the rink. But and I'll say this, David Savard.
You're just like us.
Oh yeah, exactly. Other than I'm pretty much other than the lack of talent, I'm an NHLer. I'd put it that far. But David Savard, let's be honest. He's had a rough start. He looked good tonight. He looked great tonight. He was in great position. And when we go back to this summer, everyone was saying trade Savard, trade Savard, trade Savard. I'm glad the Montreal Canadiens did not trade David Savard.
Mm-hmm. I think I was nervous about their first few games. Actually, I think the first game he was great, if I recall correctly. It was one of the early games that he was great, and then it seemed to all go downhill. I was worried when I saw the deep pairings today. I was stressed to see him with Hudson. But I think these are the nights that you like feel like, not to be cheesy, but like this deep like appreciation for this player, because you like not only, and you say this, I think you explained this saying of like, if he's good in the locker room, leave him in the locker room.
Yeah.
But this bon dans la chambre. Be great in the locker room. Yeah. We saw both. And it was just really funny to see Lane blocking shots, which I'm sure he does by himself anyways.
Right.
But when you see a player on the ice on their stomach, every single time I'm like, that's the Savard stuff.
That's David Savard. And we haven't seen the world's slowest spinorama. Like, that's coming. And it's gonna fool the other team. He's gonna slowly, like the continents are shifting, like mix around, and he's gonna score a beautiful goal. That's David Savard. Frank from Saint Hugh mentions, I'm the one who pointed that out to you. Yes, thank you, Frank. I missed the enrich tabarnak. And like, see, anyways, I won't get into the language we use when we're camping, but we have another one. It's WWT, wow tabarnak. So that's if someone says enrich tabarnak, you respond with wow tabarnak. And now you know. Marc is a better skater than Kyle Palmieri, says King of the North. I don't know about that. I haven't skated in about 3 years, and I didn't go to the open skates for the employees for the Habs because I was afraid of stealing, David Savard. No, I haven't been on the ice in a very, very long time. But I will say this: you know who had great skating tonight and who's been looking good? And my friend who always mentions him is in the chat. I have to go find the name. Sorry, it popped up. It is notre ami Bernardo Sounier. He always mentions Josh Anderson. Hey, Kay, what's your take on Josh Anderson this year?
I am really relieved, I think. First of all, I think he looks better in terms of I don't want to speculate about a person's mental health or like their mindset.
No.
But it seemed like he was just a little bit down. If nothing else, he seemed, which makes sense. Hockey player, his identity is hockey. He's not doing great at hockey. He's going to be sad. But like this time, I think it was really brilliant of Marty to put him on the PK because it gives him something to do. And I think it's not only like, here's your job, but like also like, here's a job that's like rather simple. Just stop. Just
keep going.
Right?
So, exactly.
Don't worry about. Yeah. And I don't know if there's been an update on him yet. But seeing him go to the locker room was a little concerning because it seems like he's found a groove.
Yeah, and I'll actually, the crazy part is, if I want to go full nerd, his underlying numbers are quite good this year. Now, a lot of that's playing with Brendan Gallagher.
Wow.
Brendan Gallagher has become kind of And I know every show I talk about it, but yes, overpaid. But man, he's another guy that gives an honest effort all night long. We have people reminding me.
Did you see that Sidney Crosby and Josh Anderson have similar stats right now?
Oh, really? Jeez, Sidney Crosby's in good company then.
That's something.
It's funny when you look around the league. Like, I'm pretty sure Lane Hudson is about to pass Austin Matthews in points. Well, not quite, but like a lot of the superstars have slowed down a little bit. I guess Crosby, he's 36, 37. He's still going to be good for now. It's funny. Every year I think Sidney Crosby's, and then I look and I'm like, oh, he had 100 points. He had 98 points. Like, nobody's talking about it. Sidney Crosby, yeah. We do have our Muskiletti has an update, kind of. According to Renaud Lavoie, Josh Anderson will travel with the team to Philadelphia, so that's good. And hey, we had, that reminded me, everybody, please subscribe, like, and also don't forget to check out, we have 2 new shows that have been launched. We have Game On. Okay, so that's kind of a recap. Every morning we talk about the team. So Game On Montreal, we'll be talking about what happened, what's coming up. We also have Hyperdrive, that is hosted by Maxime Van Hout from the Van Hout dynasty, and Daphne Malbeuf. So a fantastic show with 2 of my favorite people. They're very intelligent, they're smart, they're funny. Go check that out. We're starting it from scratch. We're already getting great support. So the more you can tell people about it, the more you share the world. I'm turning into the we are the world. The more you share the word, the better it is for us. We would genuinely appreciate it. Getting back to what the Montreal Canadiens have done right today, and I know you were disconnected earlier, but what did you think about, because a lot of this comes down to the coach, a lot of this comes down to preparation, and those drills finally come into play when you have live action. What do you think of Martin St. Louis' attitude in the last couple of days? Because he hasn't been as cheery as he was beforehand, but sometimes the situation calls for it.
Yeah, I think, like you said, the situation called for it. I know that we saw like some people being a little bit mad when they had a day off after that awful game.
It's always like that, eh? On social media?
It was CBA mandated. It was CBA mandated.
How dare they? How dare they?
Tell everyone. Yeah,
I missed that. Were people really mad about a day off? Were people mad about? Oh yeah.
They were a little. I don't know, mad, but I would say they were a little bit, not happy.
Bon.
No, but you saw that. You saw people kind of go, oh, Marty's going easy on them. I don't think that's true. I think for the first time, we're really seeing Marty crack down.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll discuss the comments about Arbor at some point. But right now, I'm really liking the accountability. Mm-hmm. I'm really liking that the players, because I think the one thing that we kind of talk about is Marty to blame for them not coming out at the start of the game? Does he have a responsibility there? And I think this time, whatever he did, I think it's the players and I think it's him. And I think he's making it clear that it's serious this time. You can't just post, and I'm happy to see that.
Yeah, I actually thought, listen, the reason, and I talked about Arbor a little bit. I think it's ridiculous to go after the guy that makes the least, that got drafted the latest, and has the best stats. That's my attitude on this. Now, there's the other side of it. Arbor Xhekaj is a guy that can put a lot on his shoulders, right? So not everyone's would react all that well to it, and I think he's the right guy to kind of, shoulder maybe some of the criticism. But I feel it was long overdue I don't love that he specifically talked about Xhekaj, but sometimes you get asked about a player and you're going to respond about it. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Canadiens have been pretty darn harsh considering what he's done. But overall, I felt it was due for Martin St. Louis to kind of pull the plug a little bit on fun time and get some of these guys going. And listen, for the most part, it was an issue of veterans, right? If we're being perfectly honest, there's a lot of veterans that weren't really, playing up to snuff. So I had no issue with it. The first time he threatened ice time, and I'm sure he's done that behind closed doors. But yeah, man, you have to earn your ice time. And if the players that are not earning their ice time also get demoted, I think you'd see less criticism towards St. Louis when he goes after Xhekaj, right? I think that's really what the fans had an issue with, was there's some guys getting away with murder, whereas Xhekaj is getting watched. But I really feel we can put the whole Xhekaj thing to bed. Let's be honest. What changed between the Rangers game and this game on the third pairing? It's Arbor Xhekaj. That's the only difference there is.
Yeah.
Arbor Xhekaj and Jane Struble had a fantastic game. I will give full credit to Struble. He made up for a Mailloux error. Oh, so...
Yeah.
I will say this: Arbor Jacki does great in that role, and very few other people do. So that's why I don't get the criticism. But I will say this: I hope it doesn't happen for Logan Mailloux tonight. He had a rough game, but he shouldn't be in the top four. Let's be perfectly honest. Like these, it's growing pains to reference another '80s show right now. So I like the accountability from the coach. I don't love that he went after a guy that really didn't deserve, to get skewered out of all that group. That's my take on it.
Can I just get my 2 cents? I think we have a similar but a little bit maybe different. Or not really. Even let's talk about like some of the speculation I saw, which is a little silly. I think people were a little bit like, oh, Marty doesn't like Arbor, or oh, Arbor's gonna want out of Montreal after this. And I just think that like, I think very often as fans, like we have our right to say things, like of course, but at the end of the day, I think we really need to keep in mind that like that's Marty's big thing, is being a good player's coach.
Yeah.
Obviously he's not beyond criticism, but I seeing how Arbor played, it worked this time at least. And I think last time we saw him play better once he came up from the AHL. Maybe more disciplined. Better might not be the right word. Discipline might be the right word.
That was the one big improvement. Yeah.
Again, I know you had a issue with that, so I corrected myself. It's not better, maybe more.
She's got
it. Yeah.
And really, especially in a team, to me, it's just looking at like how you can improve the lineup. Statistically speaking, it has nothing to do with stealing Zach Cassian-Sol. They're a better team when Arbor Jacki is here. Now, they're also a better team when a certain guy in Laval is in the lineup. Now, I'm joking about this on social media a lot, but and after the win, you don't have to worry too much. Do you think Joshua Roy, what would you think would be the best approach with that? Because you can leave him there for a little while, or you can bring him up because he's scoring at a 50 goal per season rate in the AHL, and the Habs need goals. What would your call be without knowing? Because it's funny you mentioned that stuff about Arbor Jacki, the rumors and the behind. Like, we don't know any of that. So we're not going to talk about that with Joshua Roy, right? Because we don't know. In terms of pure player, are you bringing up Joshua Roy tomorrow? or are you going to leave him in Laval for a little bit?
I think he should be up here right now. Obviously, like, not talking about the other stuff. It's just a little confusing to me. Listen. People like goals, and with the amount of goals that our defense is giving up right now, like, to balance that out, we need somebody scoring the goals, and we can't always ask the first line to do that. And apparently, like, now the second line, which is the Evans, Anderson, and Gallagher line, which is the second line apparently now,
right?
We can't ask them to do that all the time.
Absolutely not.
So I think, and I'd like to see him up. I like him. That's why I want him up. That's my reason.
I really like Joshua Roy too, just because he gave me a ton of access when he was in junior and whatnot. But this isn't the first time he gets challenged, so I'm not surprised that he's responding well. And hey, Laval needs goals too. I'd rather, Barry Boulet and Brandon Gignac be in charge of that, but he'll be back sooner than later. We're mentioning, right now, Ian Boisvert, friend of the show, how's it going? Who's on Locked On Canadiens, yes. Absolutely, with our friend Laura. By the way, Laura, I got kicked out of all my WhatsApp chats. I didn't just quit on everyone. So this is, I don't know how else to contact. If you're watching, Laura, I just, I got a new phone and I got kicked out of everything.
Send her a carrier pigeon.
Right? Exactly.
Carrier pigeon.
It's funny, but I was watching also a war documentary yesterday about, I'm such a loser, but about carrier pigeons and communication
documentaries
in World War I. Hey man, that's what they were relying on. Tanks had birds there. That was their, to go send the information back. Okay, we have two big things that we need to talk about, and we haven't really yet. Kirby Dach, I think, would be, to me, and the chat's bringing it up here, right? Obviously, as soon as Kirby Dach starts playing well, the Canadiens play well. I hate the idea of putting him on the top line because it monopolizes all the centers, right? But tonight, that's when I look and I'm like, I'm wrong, because they needed something. So what did you think of Kirby Dach tonight?
I think I like the idea, like you said. I like having them on separate lines because I like spreading the belt. Unfortunately, I don't think that the Canadiens' pockets are full right now. So when you don't have a lot of wealth to spread, sometimes it's better to just concentrate it. And I think if anything, if it gets Dach going, then overall it's a net positive. Even if Slav comes back, maybe, you know, he can be on the second line. Like, Dach can go back on the second line and have, you know, this readiness. I'm really happy to see the improvement from Dach. I know people were kind of giving it to him a little bit.
It was ridiculous. It was too early for that.
Which is, again, I just think that that's like people just, I think we were all really mad at the Habs for different reasons. And I think sometimes there's like an easy target. But I also saw a lot of patience. So I'm not generalizing. I think a lot of people understood what's happening. But I think this is one of the, maybe the first game that I've seen where I'm like, he's back for extended periods of time. I'm seeing the player that I would like to see.
Yeah, I think the one play, I don't know if it was Suzuki who set him up, but it was a like cross ice given going. He really should have put that in. But hey, a goal and an assist. He looked good. He wasn't. I feel like one of the things that's happened to Kirby Dach lately is that he's trying to improve himself physically, and I think a lot of that has to do with the injuries. But like, you don't. Okay, yes, again, and this was, I think it's one of your favorite lines, but you know, he has that Clifford the Red Dog size advantage. Like Kirby Dach could beat up most guys, you know. But we don't need him to prove that he's tough. You know, we need him to prove that you're going to contribute every game, and that to me, he did that fantastically tonight. We're seeing a guy who's a lot better in transition, and this, you know, I'm pretty critical of St. Louis, at least compared to most people. I feel like there's no criticism or anyways, but I do give him credit here. He mentioned it. He's like, listen, Kirby was struggling in transition with his defensive responsibilities, and he was bang on. I went back and I watched those games. It turns out the coach of the Montreal Canadiens was right about his players.
He was watching the Habs.
I know, eh?
Watching the Habs.
Breaking news: Martin St-Louis knows something about the Canadiens. So, and tonight you saw he forgot about his defensive responsibilities, which I don't think it was his offensive game that was the issue. When you come back, playing defense is a lot more tiring, right? Than playing, and especially if you're playing defense for the Canadiens. So yeah, that was great tonight. I want to see him back on the second line at one point with Cole Caulfield. That's like my dream. But hey,
I know you talked about this,
right?
What would the first line be, Mark?
Joshua Roy. No, honestly, I immediately tomorrow I have
Hudson and Suzuki. Those are the three forwards on. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that because, you know, you're looking at a guy that's going to transition to Juan Suzuki. Slafkovsky's a little better at bringing the puck in this year. We're seeing him carry the puck. It would be a shame to break up Caulfield and it feels like just this year though, Suzuki's having good games and Caulfield's having a good game. Tonight though, with Dach, they both had a good game. So I guess I'll give a tiny little bit of credit to Martin St-Louis. He might have made the right call there. Another guy that he brought into the lineup recently, Michael Pezzetta, we're talking about him in the chat. Ryan's mentioning him, Remini's mentioning him.
Yeah, I saw.
Adam's mentioning him. I will say this. Okay, first of all, and it makes me look in a bad light. He's a great guy. Michael Pezzetta is one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. But number two, if you play a game every week and a half, your numbers don't matter. The giveaways don't matter. It's impossible for a professional athlete to sit cold and play 5 minutes and play well. Now, I will say this, his first game of the year, he controlled 90% of the shots, 85% of the scoring chances, 98% of the expected goals. Nobody talked about it, right? Yeah. Tonight he had a bad game. People are talking about it. I just feel like it's the wrong target. But yeah, it's the penalties. That's what's going to get him cut, right?
The penalties, yeah.
And he knows better.
Hey, listen, if it's a penalty, then I see Jake Evans out there for a minute and a half, so I don't mind. No, I'm kidding. I do mind. Mike, don't take that as a challenge. Michael, I'm not challenging you. No, but I think, like you said, the 13th forward is like a thankless job, really.
It really is.
Nobody really talks about you if you do very well, like you said, but when you do that, people really see it, which I think is the case generally. A lot. I think that's one of the reasons why, not to go out of order, but that's why the reason I think offensive defensemen get a lot of, even back in the day, before we saw a lot of them, like, I'm remembering Chris Letang, like, I remember that kind of time of having to fight for why people would always see the bad, because he had the puck so much. But anyway, sorry, that was completely off.
No, it's actually a psychological shortcut your brain takes if you want to get nerdy about it. It's called availability heuristic. Every day you process 100,000 things, your brain has to take shortcuts.
Yeah.
So if you see Let that lose the puck once, you're going to remember. But you're not going to remember the 35 times he did it perfectly. Why would you? So, yeah.
Exactly.
Nerd
exactly.
time.
Yeah.
um,
I love it, Mark.
Yeah, right. I had to. And I remember using that with like before when I was trying to get into mainstream medium, and they're like, "You just shut the hell up with your availability." It is a pretty snobby thing to.
You can't go to a museum, Mark.
Right?
You're not allowed to go to the museum.
Exactly. Okay, so Remily mentions TVA and RDS. Yeah, they said they give time to Dach to find his game. Yet 7 games into the season, they were all over. 2 games into the season, they were all over him. The TVA, like I think even anyways, I'm not gonna go after them, but it goes to show how quickly we all talked about it, right? Like give Dach a chance. He hasn't played in a year. Give Dach a chance, and then boom, immediately complains. But I think it was within the context of just the whole team was struggling. So let's talk about that. The Habs have some momentum right now, don't they? Like I feel like they're actually they'd probably go home right now, or no, they're going to Philly. Yeesh. But I think they're having a good time in the plane tonight.
I think so too. I actually have a note in my notebook about momentum, but in the negative way, because I feel like we've been seeing them like when they give up one goal, it seems to come in bunches. I'm seeing I'm noticing that a lot. But now it's not relevant anymore. We don't need to talk about that anymore. But the vibes must be good, and I think they're kind of needed with the recent like little patch of injuries we've seen happen. I think this team is still babies, frankly. Babies and Papa Savard and Madison. Yes. Did you see that Halloween costume, by the way?
No. Oh, I saw Savard's though. He just dressed up as like an old man.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Both Madison and Savard did that. And I was like, yeah, they hear us. That's
just brilliant. And the worst part is, 30 and 34? The oldest men in the history of sports. But yeah, no.
That one tweet, yeah.
Okay, before we jump into the third segment, which I have to change the period layer there in just one moment. We're going to jump back into the fans and see what you're all thinking about this. Obviously, as per usual, we genuinely appreciate the support. If you could like and subscribe. And I've been doing this for several years, and I'm terrible at this pitch. Think of the best pitch you've seen on a YouTube video. That's what I'm trying to do right now. So like and subscribe and let everyone know. We got about 80 people in the live chat right now. So we got Ryan's here. Ian's here. How's it going, Ian? Remily is always here. Ian, Adam Dyer. I see him all the time on Twitter. We have Marc, Cheknita, and Robert Rice. I'm just so excited about seeing Robert. He got back into hockey this year. Me and him would go, it's funny, we'd talk about Benjamin. I was pretty gung-ho on what was happening, and Robert was like, this is a mirage. He called it from a mile away. Now, that being said, they had a pretty good core at that time. It was P.K. Subban. It was Max Pacioretty. It was Carey Price. These guys were all under 25. We're almost in the same situation nowadays. We have Nick Suzuki, the elder statesman at 25. You got 21-year-olds all over the ice, 22-year-olds, 20-year-olds. All things considered, and I know it hasn't started great, Kate, and we're going to go to the chat for some of your questions once we're done here. The Canadiens, how do you feel they're trending right now overall? Like let's look at the big picture. Let's forget the record. Big picture. How are you feeling about this situation?
I don't want to be a negative Nelly. I think here's what happened. I think people had bigger expectations than were realistic. Mm-hmm. So is this team better than it was last year? I think so. And I think we're going to see a better product overall. But I don't know if they're as good as maybe we talked ourselves into thinking they would be. So because of that, I think there's the really harsh reality. Mm-hmm. But I also don't think the team that we've seen over the last 7 games is necessarily, especially the last 5 games, is necessarily the team that we're going to see for the rest of the season. I'm feeling good about Lane Hudson, I guess, is we've got things that we have to look forward to. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of right now we're seeing that. I think we're seeing improvements in the younger players. Mm-hmm. I'd love to see Slav back. I think that's really important to me this season to see his progress. Mm-hmm. I think he's a big part of this. If he doesn't, well, yes. But I think if he doesn't pan out to at least a good level, I don't know that this will work. This as a whole. So that's one of the things that I really hope to see. Staff back. He's skating already, so I'd like to see him back and,
and we have good news. Oh, it's funny. I'm writing the report, and I'm like, great news. So there's only 4 guys that had skated injured today. And I'm like, geez, like that's. But hey, I think we all feared the worst for Justin Barron. Obviously, captain brain injury got him. That happens, obviously, because the NHL doesn't give a damn. Yep. But I was really worried at one point that Mike Matheson, that was scarier to me than all of this. Because despite all the criticism for Mike Matheson, you remove him from this lineup. Very important. Martin said he quits on the moment that this guy, you know what I mean? Like right there and then. Okay, so we have, Robert mentions here his overreaction. He liked Bergevin, but the overreaction to the 2013 draft. Yeah. Well, the big issue was the overreaction to getting their asses kicked by the Ottawa Senators in the playoffs. Now, I don't think Kent Hughes is at risk of making an overreaction. What I really do like here is, I know he's in a tough spot, but he's going to hold the line. And he's going to do what he thinks is best, regardless of the outside pressure. And he's been pretty honest about that. But there's talk right now from Elliot Friedman that the Montreal Canadiens are looking for a forward with edge. Who brought that up? That was a great point. Thank you for whoever brought that up. Here we go. Oh, it's Trizak. Or is it Trinka? We never know. So Trizak. Yeah, it's definitely Trizak. So what do you think about that? Is that here's the thing with I'm going to say before is that Kent Hughes literally 24/7, like he'll fall asleep talking to a GM and he'll like used to do like high school relationship, and wake up and be like, do you have any right-handed defensemen? So he's busy all the time. He was making calls just all the time. He's really good at that due diligence, and he's an agent, so he knows he's going to pepper them all and finally get something out of it. Yeah. Do the Habs need to add someone with a little mean streak? I'm not saying they don't. Like, it's, hey man, you can always improve this team.
I gotta say, I disagree with that. I don't think that's necessarily a need.
Yeah.
I think if they're trying to add a forward, okay, let's talk about it like this. Are they trying to add a bottom? I didn't see necessarily the report. Are they trying to add a guy with edge for the bottom of the roster?
Listen, I don't know, but he's going to say exactly this. I don't want to mortgage the future, and we don't want to get long-term pain for short-term gain. So I assume, like, listen, and I don't want to take it away from the Sudbury Wolves right here, but it would be like a Michael Pezzetta type player, I assume. Like, that's what I'm guessing. Yeah. That's what I'm assuming. Yeah.
I don't think I'm not sure we need that. I think this team is. When I hear edge, I immediately think, we're gonna kill more penalties.
Right.
That's my own. That's probably my bias, honestly. Like, but immediately as soon as I hear that, I'm like, we already have a team that we're trying to, teach discipline. Mm-hmm. And it's hard also to be disciplined when you're behind. When you're behind, you're slashing, you're hooking, you got all those things going.
Yeah.
But anyway, so my point being, I don't necessarily think the team needs that. I'm just, I don't know.
And again, it's really what he does. He does his homework. I don't think so either. But I'll tell you this: I hate seeing. Well, Oliver Kapanen went from the second or fourth line winger to second line center to third line winger within 3 games, which is kind of a mind melt for him, right? But I hate seeing Kapanen and Heineman and Ylönen and every other Anin on the fourth line because they're skilled prospects, and I'd rather see them get those top line minutes in the AHL. And every single one of them right now would be saying "Ferme ta gueule, Marc," because they want the paycheck, right? Like, there's a huge disparity in paycheck. You're making $70,000 a year in the AHL. You're making $750,000. Like, that's times 10 immediately. Yeah. So 1 week in the NHL, you'll make your salary in the AHL, or sorry, 1 month, right? So that part is very real, but I will say that I don't love the idea of having those guys there. At the same time, you're not going to bring up Florian Jackeye or Luke Tuck to play that role, but like you say, we don't need it. I agree, because these guys they've been kind of drafted exactly for that role. So I'm not going to ever say that Elliot Friedman's wrong, because he's incredibly connected. Like, you should see the amount of time he reaches out to just confirm stuff before he talks about it. Yeah. He's just the best at that. I don't know that there's any momentum behind that, and I'm not even sure there was any momentum behind the idea that they wanted to make some big trade or make some movement after the first 7 games. A realistic approach here is that other than David Savard, I don't know if you're getting value out of any of these guys you want to move. And it's a young team already. It's the 25th. They're about 25 years old on average. how much younger do you need? Like, are you looking to get here? You know what I mean? At one point,
Yeah.
you have to stop looking at like the potential and kind of get that talent right there. So again, I just don't know what the value would be for the Montreal Canadiens right now, and I also think that they were bound for a lottery pick regardless of his start. So to me, stay the course is the right way. But hey, they're saying right now there's a lot of pressure. I love that Kent Hughes is not at all bowing to the pressure. And I've criticized him. I've put pressure on him. I think deep down inside, most Habs fans aren't worried about Kent Hughes. Is that a fair assessment of like the vibe from, because people are getting testy, but I don't think anyone's panicking right now.
No. Well, first of all, let me the chat. Lucas Condata has been called up, which is an interesting.
So who's injured? Oh, Anderson.
Yeah.
That sucks, man. Because again, but hey, Lucas Condata, hardworking guy.
One of the best he's played. Yeah.
You know what really impressed me was when Adam Engstrom just got absolutely, and listen, I love Engstrom, but that was. I'm not trying to do my Marc Denis there, blaming every single guy that gets boarded, but that play, he had to know that Delaurier was coming in. He absolutely obliterated Engstrom, and Lucas Condata just jumped on him, like, ready to go, and Delaurier kind of gave him the, like, are you sure about this, buddy? Like, you know?
Yeah.
And he didn't take his... Yeah. So good on Nick Delaurier for saving Lucas Condata's life, but good for Lucas Condata just jumping on Nick Delaurier. Like, if there's a grizzly after UK, I'll chuck a steak, but I'm not jumping on the grizzly. You know what I mean? So
I get it. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
But to go back to the question you had earlier about Kent Hughes, I don't think overall that people are really losing any patience. I think he earned himself a bit more rope, I guess. Again, English is not my first language, so if this is
nor is it mine.
Metaphor,
so hey.
No, but I think he bought himself a little bit more room with the Demidov pick. I think if there was a timer and people were running
You brought up Demidov, though. You know who I'm going to bring up in a few seconds. All right, go ahead.
No.
Matvei Mishkov.
No, I think he earned himself some spot. Next game is going to be interesting, Mark. We're going to have an interesting little discussion, I think
we're going to have a very, like, relaxed... nobody's going to talk about the only thing that bothers me in the Mishkov dialogue is that people bring David Reinbacher into it. He has nothing to do with it. He wasn't like, you know, the injuries have nothing to do with it. There was 100% a decision by management. Like the fact that people are like, oh, well, now Reinbacher's hurt, so it sucks even more. No, I mean, whether he was hurt or not, the decision was good or bad on its own merit, right? So I just don't like that Reinbacher gets pulled into it. But I'll say this, and I took a lot of flack for it. All the bullshit said about Matvei Mishkov, it was clearly bullshit. He can play on a team, he can score, and he's already in America, or in North America, which is the three things that, and people even said his father got killed, and that's because he tried to, you know, that like they're talking about him being corrupt in the mafia. Yeah. That was messed up. And I hope in the future we don't have to step on an 18-year-old to get our opinion across. Let's put it that way. I feel like a lot of media in Montreal needs to look at what they did there and have a little bit of a reckoning for how they tried to destroy an 18-year-old's reputation. That part, I hate it.
Mark, we both know it won't happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Robert says, he's getting 2 points tomorrow. You know, I'm going to say this. The Flyers, even though Montreal's been a tire fire, the Flyers, like, they kind of loaded up a little bit. Well, they didn't load up, but they signed some big players, and they're supposed to be taking a step above the Canadiens. So things are even worse in Flyer country right now. There you go. Remini mentions, yes, the decision was bad at the time and bad now. Absolutely. Independent of Reinbacher. Now, I will say this. A lot of teams wanted Reinbacher. A lot of teams. And they wanted to move up to take him at that spot. So, but that doesn't mean this is the right pick. But what I will say this is that I really hope that...
I'm so tired of this,
I hope that
it's one of those things that's not going away. It's not going away.
But I hope he can find some solace in it. Like that I hope he really knows, because it felt like he's not emotional, but he was really impacted by it, which is fine. Yeah, he's 18. He's going to. But I really hope he knows that this is just the hysteria of Montreal. And it really, like, I really hope, just for his mental health, that he doesn't take it to heart, because...
You know what I say? I say that I look at David Reinbacher and I see kind eyes, and I don't want him...
I want... He'd come with me to volunteer at the old age home like this, and all the old ladies would love him, and they'd immediately forget about me. Yeah. So, well, as John mentions, Reinbacher gets dragged because his management chose him over Mishkov. Absolutely, but that's not on him, right? Like, that's not on him. And he got put in a fire cooker, getting drafted by Montreal. You're going to get all those looks. Yeah. I'll say it was not the first time either that a team overlooked a high-end offensive talent for a right-handed defenseman, because it is one of the most sought after. But I made my position clear then. I made it now. I said I wouldn't bring it up, and I just brought it up for, 10 minutes? I feel like we can probably move on from that. Who are we looking at next? Who's going to be the next one to start playing well? I feel like Alex Newhook had a great game. Down the line, Josh Anderson, he's injured. So I'm thinking maybe Brendan Gallagher's probably the next veteran to score a couple more goals. But who are you looking for to take that next step? I feel the top line's been playing pretty well. Maybe our friend from Finland, number 40, would probably use a little boost there. Yoel Armia's having a bit of a rough start, isn't he?
I was going to say I'd like to see...
Jake Evans score again?
Savard spinorama.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'd like to see...
the slow spinorama. I do too. I can't wait till it happens. I'm going to be like, yeah! Savardians.
Yeah. Kill Savard, as they say in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was Bernardo was saying that too. Yeah, absolutely. I really think that Yoel Armia, if you just kind of leave him and stop expecting for more from him, fine as a third line player, and that's about how much third line players make. He's going to end up scoring his 14 goals by the end of the year, and everyone's going to say, oh, he's having a bounce back, but it's what you get for $4 million in the NHL, right? It's a third line player. That's pretty much it. Oh, Bernardo and Remeli and Adam are mentioned. Adam mentioned Victor Hedman, but okay. They're mentioning Demidov and our friend in Michigan. Have you had a chance to watch him play for Michigan, the Wolverines of Michigan?
I haven't. I've seen the highlights. I think every single bit. Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
He's Michael H. I'm gonna mess up his name 1,000 times, but the speed of execution. You should just. He flies down the ice, and I hate mentioning names when you do comparisons, but the speed that he can do that. This is gonna backfire if reminds me a little how quickly Pavel Bure played, and I know that's like an insane proposition, but it was just the reason that Pavel Bure was so good is that he had the feet and he had the hands, but he could do it both together because of this, right? Yeah. So Michael Hage, I think. I always screw up. I think it's Hage. Yeah.
I looked this up before too. I think it's Hage.
And he has easily the best part of his game is right here. So very very smart player. And Demidov, believe it or not, he played over 15 minutes the other day. Woo!
Wow.
Woo! 5-game scoring streak. He's playing with Evgeny Kuznetsov. He's the third highest scorer on the team. He's the number 1 player in the KHL for points per 60. Isn't that that? So it's funny because we talk about taking the next big step. Then you have Jacob Fowler. He was the Big East goalie of Hockey East goalie of the week right off the bat of the month. 3 of their top 5 prospects are still developing with their minor league teams, right? So that's pretty encouraging for the Montreal Canadiens. And then there's
I didn't hear a lot about Haig before, right after the draft. I think everybody was so excited about Demidov that nobody really talked about him.
No, at all. Yeah.
I'm loving seeing it. I'm loving because I honestly didn't know what to expect, and I'm going to admit, too caught up in Demidov to really. I loved his story. I loved Haig's story.
Yeah.
Really, really speaks to me. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know much about him as a player. And listen, those kind of guys are so easy to cheer for.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I like a smart player. I love Nick Suzuki. I would rather see a player who has the you know what? I'm not going to say that. Never mind. Not going to say it.
There are ways to say it, but I absolutely no. That was good. You pulled the emergency brake there.
I said no. I said nope.
I absolutely love that. And especially looking at Demidov, by all logic, how Mishkov now he's in the NHL. So even if he doesn't come next year, we're still on pace for Demidov kind of following Mishkov, and so he has a whole other year basically of development before you start to worry about him. I get the sense next year he's going to be in the NHL. I mean, you just at one point you have to do it, but and here's what I really like about Michael Haig. I really hope Canadian of Lebanese descent as well. So I grew up with a lot, especially in Ottawa, a lot of people that Lebanese heritage, and we all got along very, very well. They taught me some words, but I'm not going to say them Well, one of them was Arbetizi, but I'm not. Anyways, so if anyone's Lebanese, they know how terrible what I just said. But overall, I love seeing. I don't want to say new Canadians, but I want to see Canadians that obviously their parents went through a lot to immigrate here, to come here, that sacrificed everything, come and dominate the national sport. To me, that's exactly that. That is what Canada is all about. Like that is just such an amazing story. Yeah. So I'm very, very happy to see someone of Lebanese descent, Canadian Lebanese descent, and French as well. Like I mean. Let's go.
He's got it all.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
Got it all.
Exactly. Okay, hey, listen, it's up to you if you want to. I'm going to go through the chat a little bit. Was there anything else that I might have forgotten to mention? We talked about Jake Evans being great, right?
Yes, we did.
Did we talk about we don't need to talk about Samuel Montembeault, but he had a good game.
Oh. Really quickly, I am really encouraged to see Goalie skating today. Again, as president of Goalie Nation, I must bring him up. Really happy to see him skating, and really happy to see him in the injured box because we weren't even seeing him there the last game, I think. Yeah. So it's a relief. I think he's very important to this team, so it's a relief. And me and my heart.
And for you, yeah, and just a relief for Kay. The thing with Goalie, and I'm gonna have to go back to earlier, but the last 3 injuries, they've all been because he's been playing on his offside. And I know I rag all about that, but I'd really like to see one day giving Caden Gooley a partner who's had good numbers in the past and allow him to play in his natural position. I think that would just absolutely unlock his game, you know. But one thing we have to be realistic about is he's going to have to do a little bit of a better job protecting himself. And I don't want to blame the victim here, but it's because he's on his offside. He's not as conscious as what's happening behind him. It's not as natural, right? So you don't want a player to play scared, but maybe taking just a little bit extra precaution would be a good move for Caden Gooley, in my opinion.
I think when you play as much as he plays too, you just I think the first year especially we were seeing him play a lot, which was both physically, I think,
as
a lot.
Rookie? Oh yeah.
But also I think the more you play, the more likely you are to let your guard down at some point.
Absolutely. Oh hey, we went right over the second period, so now we're going to a third period. Andrew wants me to do these. I'm such an old man because I'm like, Andrew, my printer doesn't work. Like, come fix it for me. Robert gives us a really good point here. He mentions, don't forget to shout out the Rocket, 5-1-0. Pascal Vincent is doing a very good job. I don't want to take anything away from Régent Houle's son or Joël Bouchard, but I believe Pascal Vincent is a superior coach by any single metric in terms, not just motivating X's and O's. And I would keep an eye on him. I know I'm kind of throwing stir in the pot here, but if ever you want to replace the coach in Montreal, you want that guy in the AHL that you can promote, right? You don't want to have to restart all over. He knows the players, and he's a tactician. I would almost suggest that him and St. Louis would make a great partnership because
I was gonna say that.
One's a motivator, right? Yeah, absolutely. But 5-1-0, he's playing his skilled players. You know, Joshua Roy got another goal tonight. He's on pace for 45 goals this year. We're seeing him. A guy that the players respect him, that has pro experience, and it's been so long since the Canadiens have had a good AHL team, so that's great as well. We talk about always you want another pick. Eventually, the stench of losing sticks in a locker room, and that can start in the AHL. So you really want, and I'm a strong believer too in the fact of that you want to start winning, start there, and then bring it up. So I love to see what Pascal Vincent is doing there.
Organizational consistency is so important.
Absolutely fantastic. Okay, Mark mentions the biggest hole that needs to be filled long term is a top 4 RD. Barron and Mailloux are bottom pairing. Okay, I don't know about that. I will say this. Okay, hold on. What did you think about Justin Barron before the injury?
I think he was having one of his best games.
Best season.
Barron,
so
yeah. I think Barron is the kind of guy who needs a little runway to warm up, and then when he's warm, he's good. Someone in the chat said that like they find Barron a very confusing player.
He really is. He's like a red panda. He's a red panda. When he gets panicked, he just but like you know when he's on his game, man. He makes the right decision, but when you spook him, he full red pandas on you. Yes, Google red pandas. Those of you that Mailloux, I'll say this: I don't think he had a good game, and I think he's really struggling this year in the NHL. But it's not his fault. Like I don't want to spend too much time on him. I don't think
he's ready.
It's as simple as that.
He's just not.
And nobody expected him to be in the NHL at this point, right?
Yeah.
So it's
like I think everybody expected him to get a game or two,
Sure.
but like that was more like a reward
Yeah.
rather than we don't have any guys, we need a guy.
Yeah.
Here's a guy.
You got any dudes for us? We got a dude right here. Yeah, absolutely. I want to see him get 25 minutes a night in the AHL. Like, it's great that Engstrom and everyone in the AHL is getting a lot of ice time, but once Barron's good to go, I mean, I know they'll probably send on Jack High for some reason, but I would really think, statistically speaking, and Logan Mailloux, like tonight his stats were terrible. He had a few giveaways. He was playing top pairing minutes. You know, like that's a roster construction issue. That's not a Logan Mailloux issue. So he really needs a lot more reps. Obviously, you know, in the AHL, I think would be the best place for him. But I'm right with you. Justin Barron has. Again, it looks bad when he has his bad games. A little like Joshua Roy. When he doesn't have a good game, it looks bad. Because he's an anticipator, right? So when he has a bad game, he looks like shit, and kind of same thing with Mailloux tonight. But it's just so hard to criticize them when the veterans are also getting burned left and right, you know? So I'm going to put Mailloux in the same batch as Hudson, just be like give him a chance to breathe. But
let him cook.
And listen, it sucks, but let him cook in Utica and every other AHL city, I think, would be the best bet for Logan Mailloux once they have you know. So they're saying Barron, but I really do believe he's leaps and bounds better than Mailloux right now. In terms of potential, it's the other way around. But Justin Barron, I know everyone is nervous when he has the puck. He's nervous when he has the puck. But he did legitimately, he had a good start to the season, and he's the only one that challenges Arbor Jack-Eye for going over 50% possession so far this year. Mm-hmm. I mean, for a guy that spent half the season in the AHL, it was a pretty good start. And hey, as you said, good news. He's skating. Slavkovsky's skating. Who else? I'm forgetting the other one.
I was so is Gooley.
Oh yeah.
Gooley
sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Kay.
I was so strict about that. I was like, Mark, it was Gooley. Don't Mark, we need you. It's a Saturday night stream.
I'm doing great. We're doing great here. And tomorrow, so we have Philly. We're gonna see.
Just get my two cents in about Justin Barron. I was running a "We Need to Be Nicer to Mike Matheson" campaign, and I think I am now running. Can we be nice? Can we please be nicer to Justin Barron?
Cool.
Especially as he comes back. I think people need to. I think patience is the name of the game with this team and players.
Exactly. And then Kay, you just absolutely nailed it. There's going to be good nights, there's going to be bad nights. Tonight was a really good way to remind everyone, hey, listen, just because it was a tough start, there's still some good involved here, and you know, we're gonna see some highs, we're gonna see some lows, but overall, when you're seeing guys like Lane Hudson take a really big step, I think there's reason to be encouraged by the play of the Montreal Canadiens. We didn't even mention his name tonight. Cole Caulfield has 7 goals in 8 games. He's off to the best start in his career, and he's actually on pace. I don't want to talk about 50 goals or 40 goals. Forget that. He's scoring. That's all that matters, taking that shot. So, you know, there's some fun here. And Nick Suzuki, I think we're going to start our own team. So I'm going to always defend Jack High, obviously, because he needs defending right now. And Nick Suzuki.
And physically.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You're gonna get
I will be his bodyguard. No problem.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know what's funny? He's like actually the most gentle giant when you actually meet him. And before I knew how scary he was.
I love those kind of guys.
Before I knew how scary he was, I was just like, hey, what up, buddy? You know, but then he'd like tap you on the shoulder and you're like, but again, nicest guy. I'll defend him, and I'll defend Nick Suzuki because I think unreasonable level of criticism towards him at all times in Montreal. The amount of stuff that goes through Nick Suzuki is ridiculous. And as Nick goes, the team does. You know, remove him from this equation and you're not scoring. You're not playing in transition. So he's got 2 points tonight. I think he's over a point per game now. Is that not bad for a guy who's started slow? So. Not bad.
Someone in the chat, Mark, said that Suzuki has stepped up since he called himself out.
Yeah.
And I think that's so true. I think the good thing about Nick Suzuki is he used the word immature. I think when he called himself and the team out, he said we played an immature game or something similar. And I think, again, it's the maturity of Suzuki that really, he's a very, I don't want to get into the discourse, but some people were a little bit, you know, I don't think he's a fired up captain. I'm not sure.
He's stoic. He's an old soul. No, that's bullshit. They don't know him.
On the ice.
Yeah.
He does
leads by example.
Right? Like, exactly. So I think I'm also a Nick Suzuki defender. I think that like he just like, gets a lot of pressure, and from the outside anyways, it looks like it doesn't really affect him all that much, and I'm really glad about that, because I think he's kind of, like you said, very important to this team. He's very, very important to this team. He's kind of the brain, I would say, even.
Yeah. That's a really good thing. Yeah, absolutely. But not just like he's so intelligent. He's the brain of the entire setup on every play.
Yeah.
Bernardo asked, is it true that Michel Therrien used to be the bodyguard for Roch Voisine? Absolutely, yes. You can Google it. There's a picture of him. I think they're at Casino it wouldn't be called that anymore. It'd be called the Casino La Clémie in I didn't live there. I wasn't at the blackjack tables every night, by the way. But yes, he would constantly be playing, and Roch Voisine would be there with big old Michel Therrien protecting him. So yes, that is absolutely true.
Mark, I hate to tell you, I have no idea who you're talking about.
Roch Voisine? You don't know who Roch Voisine is? You're so lucky. Some people are lucky in life. No. Roch Voisine is right up there with Vilain Pingouin, the crazy acts of the 80s. Mitsu. And did you ever hear of Mitsu? Was that one that never made it out east or out west?
Again, immigrant.
You know what? You're not missing much by missing Roch Voisine. He had I'll let you find it out for yourself. He was the Quebec's male answer to Céline Dion, and answered poorly. We answered really poorly there, but yeah, absolutely. Roch Voisine. He was all over Musique Plus back in the day. Hey, I think we've kept everyone for quite a while, but Kay, tomorrow.
Yes.
Did we even decide? Yeah. Can I put you on the spot right now or not?
I don't think we decided yet.
Okay, so that was her way of saying, so we don't know who's going to be on tomorrow. We're going to figure that out in just one moment. But we do have the Philadelphia Flyers, and that'll be a really interesting game. Two teams that are rebuilding. I feel like Kent Hughes has done a better job than Daniel Brière. Daniel Brière has tried to press fast forward a little bit. Kind of like what the Senators did, kind of like what Buffalo did, kind of like what Detroit did. And that is to be avoided at all costs. So tomorrow we're having the battle of the bottom of the barrel. The battle of the bottom of the barrel.
Bottom of the barrel. Look at that.
All right, and we.
Okay, dunk on me, Mark.
No. Hey, I came
dunk
close.
On me.
No, absolument pas. But I mean, you don't know Roch Voisine, so like, there are some things that you need to improve upon your game. Yeah, Al Robert, who mentioned that Barron's a good old Nova Scotia boy. Everybody, as soon as you mention anything from Nova Scotia, which I love, they're all over it. You'll just mention like, oh, I got a little bit of a blue nose because I went outside and got cold, and they're like, yeah, blue nose, great ship, loved it, or they'll mention all their little cities. But shout out to everyone on Crépeau. No, that's PI. Is Crépeau PI Nova Scotia? Anyways, that's where I want to retire when I'm older. Is I'm going straight to Nova Scotia. We had a great show. Make sure, Kay, where can they find you on Twitter, right?
On Twitter you can find me KAY_IWM. Always takes me a second to remember it. It's a new account. You can find me on there. I'm always yelling about something or another. So.
You don't need to follow me. I wouldn't follow me if I could, but make sure you follow Kay. And obviously she's gonna be doing a lot more shows with us this year. We're beyond glad to have you on board. And if anyone else is kind of interested in this, just reach out. Listen, we love people in the community kind of coming up and taking over our roles. That's really what me and Andrew want to do eventually. So we do encourage everyone, and it's don't hesitate. When you see, listen, I don't want to be mean, but there was a certain commentator on Sportsnet all night today, and he does every single Habs game. If he can get a job in hockey, so can you, okay? I don't want to use names, but just don't ever feel like you're not good enough or that you don't have the experience. If I can do it, you can do it, right? So if anyone wants a chance, don't forget to reach out. And hey, finally, I want to thank everyone that's here. We have Ian, we have Bernardo, MFM. Yes. Oh my God. Anyways, John is here. Who else do we have?
Everybody. Yeah.
Right?
And I Saturday night. Thank you for joining us.
Right. I mean, I definitely had things to do, so I didn't have to cancel any plans, but I do appreciate when they come. And we had Adam was here too, and so was Robert. I just love seeing Robert around. That's fantastic. And Ian, obviously. I'm going to forget some people. That's why they tell you never to do this. Never go through all the names because you forget people. So I apologize. I apologize to everyone I forgot. But I do appreciate the support, honestly. Kay, you've been fantastic. The Habs were fantastic tonight. It's a good time. Today was a very good time for the Montreal Canadiens. So don't forget to like, subscribe, share the word. Check out Hyperdrive, our show with Maxime Van Hout. And,
yeah, very good.
Yeah, very, very good stuff.
I really enjoyed that. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you have, I'm popping up some. I don't know if that went on the stream, but it was suggesting games for me on Discord. I'm such an old man.
I did not say anything. I did not say anything.
I yelled at Discord the other day. I was like, stop! And like all I had to do was just take the notifications off. Like as if I was gonna be like, he was gonna understand, be like, okay, Mark, anyways. I am the old man.
Mark, don't beat me up.
Yeah, well, hey, but
Mark, don't beat me up, Discord says.
Oh, I will kick its ass. Absolutely no. It is great. And we also have our Discord, so make sure to join us on there. Come join the chats. We have live shows after every single Canadian game. On behalf of Kay and myself and Game Over Montreal, I thank you all for joining us. And don't forget, tomorrow, Philadelphia Flyers. We will be live as soon as the game is over. It'll be Andrew, and I guess you'll have to tune in to see who else is joining them. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Kay.